Arizona defensive coordinator, Danny Gonzales here. So why don't we bring him on? And Coach, how we doing today? How we living?
Doing outstanding, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Just dandy, Coach, because we watched that basketball game last night and just feeling a little extra juiced up this morning and ready to go.
How unreal was that last night? I mean, Caleb Love coming through clutch. I mean, to start, what was he, 0 for 10 to start, and then hit that one and then catch fire in the overtime. I mean, what an exciting event. Mikhail lived up to it. I mean, don't ever count Coach Lloyd's boys out. I mean, that was an awesome event last night and a big-time win for the Wildcats.
Yeah, now we just need to move some of that magic over to the gridiron, Coach, and really get it over on the football side of things. I real quick, I just need to ask you, as a defensive guy, how do you defend that last shot? What's Danny Gonzalez's game plan against Caleb Love in that half court moment?
Well, I mean, holy cow! I mean, all the stuff you see on Twitter today, maybe it was or wasn't the play that was called. It doesn't matter. It was executed and it went in. I mean, try and not let him shoot the ball. I mean, you're talking, should you foul him at that point on the court? No way. I mean, if it happens, it's fate, I guess, and then try and live it out in overtime. But you could tell from the huddle right there on TV, when that shot went in, the Wildcats are going to win. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, we saw how special Tucson was last night, rallying around their community and their Wildcats. I kind of wanted to start there with you, Coach. So you've obviously, you've been around in and around the West Coast in college football for a long time. You obviously coached at a school, up north to us, about 15
I
minutes
did.
east. You coached at New Mexico, at San Diego State. All schools that kind of have pretty close ties to Arizona. So I'm sure you had kind of a good up close look at Arizona for a long time and kind of the program that there was in Tucson. So what did you take from that experience on the West Coast, and how have you kind of tried to mold that into how you've approached this job at Arizona?
Growing up in Albuquerque and I played at the University of New Mexico, and New Mexico and Arizona had quite the rivalry going all the way to the days when they were in the WAC conference together. We used to play for a trophy called the Kit Carson rifle, which is retired for political reasons. What a great opportunity I had growing up. I can remember being in 1988. I was 12 years old, and the Lobos took on number one ranked Arizona and Sean Elliott in the pit, and the Lobos came out on top. And Coach Lute Olson vowed to never go back to Albuquerque because now the home court advantage, whatever it was, whether the refs cheated them, whatever, they came up with that win. And as a little kid, I'm running around crazy at the pit, thinking that we just won the national championship. So I mean the rivalry and my opportunities to be around the University of Arizona have been unbelievable. Obviously, you mentioned it. I was at the other school. And when I was there, I mean, I talked about Prop 200 back in 1958 when they tried to keep when the University of Arizona tried to keep Arizona State College from becoming a university. And shoot, if we're any good next year, I'll wear a Prop 200 shirt before the game. I mean, you've got to be all in wherever you're at. And I'm at the University of Arizona in Tucson, and bear down. Let's see what we can do to compete for a Big 12 championship. If you want to be a good coach, you get good players. I'm in San Bernardino right now. You can see I got the San Bernardino Mountains right out there behind me. I stopped over to a little park so I could hop on with you guys for a minute. Find the best players you can, and then coach them hard and get them to play well on Saturdays.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, recruiting and whatnot, to talk with us. I want to stick there with recruiting. So you obviously were a part of last year's staff in the defense last year. So you had a kind of an up close and personal look at what changes needed to be made going into this next part of this offseason and this next season. So was there a specific position group that you guys looked at as a defensive staff and said, we need to get better at this position in the transfer portal?
Well, obviously, if you want to be good at football on either side of the ball, you have to be good in the trenches. And Coach Salave'a, our new D-line coach, who obviously has a great history with the University of Arizona, trench monsters. I mean, that's what we're going to build up front. Because if you don't have that piece, it doesn't matter how good. And we've got some really good pieces in the secondary. It doesn't matter what those guys are if they have to cover forever, because you can't. I mean, the guys today's game, quarterbacks and wide receivers. I mean, we hired a savage in Seth Doege on offense, and if we give them time, if our offensive line can give Noah some time, they're going to carve people up. It's just the reality of the game. And so, obviously, starting there, we had some good players last year. We have some great players coming back. We've added quite a bit to that room, and then depth. We obviously didn't have enough depth last year to be successful. When we had a bunch of ACL tears. We had 3 on defense that were critical starters between Traden Stukes, Gunnar Maldonado, and Jacob Manu. Our depth obviously wasn't good enough to overcome that. And then, we obviously at the linebacker spot when we lost Jacob Manu, I thought Tay Brown did a great job filling in, but we didn't feel there was enough depth there with experience that we moved Dalton Johnson from safety to linebacker to give us the best chance to be successful. Now, those 2 guys were the most productive statistic-wise, but we've got to keep Dalton Johnson at the boundary safety spot because that's where he flourishes and has an opportunity to move on from here and play at the next level at the safety spot. And we've got some pieces back there, so we brought in some linebackers to compete with the guys that we have on campus. And now it's a matter of how can we do stuff to give people a picture that pre-snap looks different than post-snap. And that's what I've been good at my entire career. Make them guess. I talk about it all the time. Offense creates pictures with their formations, and they'll tell you stories that if you pre-snap communicate, you can dissect those things, and that's the chess game that goes on between coaches. Where does coaching matter? Coaching matters when talent is equal or if you don't have as much talent as your opponent. If you have significantly more talent, you're going to have the best chance to win. There's no doubt. In the Big 12, I think from top to bottom, there's no Oklahoma or Texas that has so much more than everybody else, or SC and UCLA that has the within 12 miles, they have 2 million people. That in the Big 12 doesn't exist. Everybody's the exact same. I think it's the best autonomous 4 conference because from top to bottom, every single day, every single Saturday, any school can win. And the teams that were picked last year, the one up north and BYU, they finished at the top of our league. And so the idea now, hey, we got to put the pieces out there, have enough depth so that we can get to a 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 game schedule and have a chance to compete at that level. If you don't have enough depth, you've got no chance. And so I thought we were aggressive in the transfer portal. They just started their first mandatory workout yesterday, and I can't wait to get back to be around our guys. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We've got an opportunity to do something special. Now this is all coach talk. Coaches can say whatever they want in January and February, March, and winners and beginners. Everybody loves winners and beginners. Okay, this is something new. I was the defensive coordinator last year, so all this stuff is fun and is exciting, and it means absolutely nothing. When it's going to mean something? I was on August 30th when we play Hawaii, and then the 6th when we play Weber State, and then when we play Kansas State on the 13th, and then get into conference play. That's when it matters. So what you guys do, this is outstanding. Having a podcast that talks about the Wildcats, talks about basketball, women's basketball, baseball, football. All of the wonderful sports that we have on campus. We got a hockey team that's freaking kicking tail right now. All those things that you guys bring attention to, it is so beneficial. And all the negative talk about, the stuff that we had last year in football, you know what? That means people care. Keep the negative talk up. It doesn't matter. It's our job to change the narrative to be positive. And if people are talking about the negative talk, that means they care. And that's what you want, because when they care and you give them a 2023 season where you get 10 wins, look at what that produced. The expectation of 24, obviously we failed. It's our job to create 25 and be that again, so that all those people that are naysaying right now can jump back on and be excited. But don't stop talking. Doesn't matter what you say. Talk about the Wildcats, because we want you to care.
Well, Coach, I love to hear everything that you said, and I have so many questions after all of what you had to say. But I guess I'll go in this direction, Coach. You spoke to last year being a failure, in your opinion, of the coaching staff. That seems like the opinion that most of the coaches hold, is the last year was not an acceptable result. What are some things that last year taught you as a coach that you are going to take into this year, and maybe you help facilitate success for this year's defense specifically?
Well, the biggest thing coming into last year was Coach Brennan got hired really late, so he'd missed the first portal window. A lot of the mid-year signees were already on campus from the previous class, and some of those guys actually ended up asking out of there, Grant and Aid, and moving on. And then the nucleus of the team that we kept together, obviously you had some talent, you had some elite talent, but we didn't have enough depth. as it showed throughout the season. So not having the opportunity to attack the portal that time, the spring portal, trying to maintain our current roster, I think there were some mistakes made in how we approach that, and learning from that. And you know what? We want guys that want to be on this football team for the right reason. We want guys that love playing football. And I think we have a bunch of guys together. We had a team meeting on Sunday night, 30 some new players with the core of the team that was back. There's some renewed energy, which is fun. I mean, it's exciting when there's optimism, and when you have hope, that generates and creates positive energy. And I know there's a lot of hope in our building right now, which is exciting.
That does sound really exciting, Coach. And I love to hear that there's hope within the building, because that's one thing that as fans, like, you can never really tell, right, how big a lackluster season impacts the next season, right? But you talked a lot about finding players that want to play here and fit what we want to do, what you guys want to do, at Arizona. What are some qualities you look for when you're out there recruiting on the road? And what kind of player is a Danny Gonzales guy look like? And why is it Luke Weissong? Why is he the perfect guy?
Well, I mean, continue to use the format we, because you are part of this. Everybody, I mean, you guys are both alum from the University of Arizona. It's a big deal, and using the term we means that we're in this collectively together. Danny Gonzales type guy. Well, I was a walk-on at the University of New Mexico. I had to prove that I belonged to this level. Does that mean that needs to be everybody's motto? No. I mean, if we get a bunch of guys like me, we're not going to be good enough, because I wasn't good enough at that moment to become that. We want great football players that have the same determination. Luke Weissong is a great football player that has that determination. He was recruited by one school, the University of New Mexico, and he went out there and proved over the previous 3 years what he is and who he is. And it afforded him opportunities when he got in the transfer portal. We had a connection. He saw what we're doing on offense. Coach Wade did a great job. Coach Doege, we hired right after Luke decided. That's what's really neat about that deal right there. Luke was able to see our vision without Coach Doege being on staff. And then Coach Doege crushed it when he was hired in his first conversation with Luke. And so guys like that, guys that want to be a part of our program because they believe in what we're doing, is what we're looking for.
You and Coach Doege are kind of going back and forth, waxing poetic about one another. It kind of makes me wonder, like, who's going to be more right? I feel like we almost have a competition going between our offensive and defensive coordinator here to see who's going to be like the more successful in the 2025 season.
It really is like I love you more kind of situation.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he can hang on to the ball in time of possession like he did last year at Marshall and score points like they did, and we're not on the field playing a whole lot of defense, I'll keep screaming and yelling and cheering them on and be his biggest fan, because if we're not on the field on defense, they're not scoring points and they're not gaining yards, and it's making me look good and the rest of our football team on our side of the ball. But what I really enjoy about Coach Doege in our first month of working together, I can go in there as we get into the season, and we can bounce ideas off each other, like, well, why are you doing this? If we give you this, what is this? And that is so valuable. Being able to do that with somebody that has called plays and has been very successful. He's been in multiple systems. I mean, you hear all this about the air raid. His version of the air raid is winning football. And can you throw it 70 times and win? You can, if that's what you have to do on that Saturday. Do you have to run it 70 times to win the football game? That's what you have to do on Saturday. That's what he's willing to do, and that's what makes him special. I think on early in the week during the season, I can walk in there to Coach Doege's office and say, hey, look, Seth, I don't think we're going to have a great time slowing them down this week. We better put some dang points on the board. Or here's where we can get to. Can we score 24? If we can hold them 23, because our job is to hold them to 1 point less. I mean, that's the goal in football. I mean, everybody talks about stats. Do you want total offense, total defense? Being in the top, you know what? There's one stat that matters, and it's us holding them to 1 less point and Seth scoring 1 more point. So having those conversations and knowing exactly what we're up against going into the week is so much better than having to hold them to 3 to 6 points every single week, because in today's football, that's not realistic. But if we can hold people from anywhere to 17 to 22 points and be in the top 25 against the run on defense, we're going to be a dang good football team, and there's going to be a lot of people in Tucson happy. And if we're not good enough to do that, then you'll be talking to somebody else in the near future. But I have great great belief in what we do. In anything in life that you have to be willing to bet on yourself. And I've been willing to bet on myself for the last 27 years, and it's where we're at. And that sounds arrogant, and it's not intended to be. It's a belief in what we do and how we do it. And statistically, we've been really good. And if you put the right players on the field, because if you don't have enough talent, it doesn't matter. You don't have to have the most talent. You have to have enough. And if we have enough, then it's our job to make that talent what it is.
We love it, Coach, and we certainly hope that we're back here next year or even during the season talking to you still. Wanted to get you out here on a couple fun ones real quick. I heard you mention in one of your Beyond the Bios great stuff that Arizona Football's YouTube does that you and Coach Brennan golfed against each other at Pacific Beach. I just kind of want to know who's the better golfer between you and Coach and who won that round?
Well, I will say this. So there's a coaches classic, a tournament every Memorial Day weekend at Pebble Beach. And Coach Brennan and the team that he brings, when I was at New Mexico and he was at San Jose State, Coach Brennan, by far, the team camaraderie, the team outfits, he blows everybody away. Not even close. And I can send you some pictures so that you can post up on the podcast to show proof to that. Yes. But as far as if it goes shot for shot, I love to compete in anything that I do. Put me out on a golf course and I'll compete with anybody. I lucked out on one of those deals. I ended up getting a hole in one at Spyglass on the photography hole. And my wife, who, let me give some credit first, just for 1 second. My wife, Sandra Gonzales, is an unbelievable coach's wife. I wouldn't have success in this business if it wasn't for her. We have 4 kids that 26, 24, 12, and 10, so we have a big gap. But they are all in wherever we are. And she is unbelievable. So she made me a shadow box of that hole in one. I've got the flag, the ball, the tee, everything. So if we're going to go one-on-one, I'll go one-on-one with anybody on our staff. We have some pretty good golfers on our staff between Chuck Cecil and Ricky, Hundley, who's out there all the time. I mean, so it's all about competition. Put the ball down, give me a stick, and let's go at it.
Sounds like Coach Brennan doesn't have a chance there, Coach. But yes, shout out. We want to take the time to shout out Sandra, and I want to stay on that topic as well, real quick, with your family. So I also heard in this Beyond the Bio that there's something that you guys do every Friday called Ice Cream Fridays. Just wanted to kind of say, me and Kevin, we also love Frost Gelato, and we're free on Friday. So if you ever want to just kind of extend the invite, Ice Cream Friday sounds like a pretty good time.
So Ice Cream Friday has become a big tradition in our family. Usually during season, we have a little bit of time between the workouts and going to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The Frost on Campbell and Skyline, that's where our spot is. Okay, it is every Friday they do a tremendous job. One, they're big Wildcat fans, and they offered to put some Wildcat things together, which is phenomenal. But we can take our dog over there. We can sit out there in La Encantada, and the girls every Friday morning. Now we have to adjust it sometimes on Thursdays if I'm out of town recruiting or whatever, or move it around so that we can get there. I actually am really depressed that I missed last week's because I was out of town on the road recruiting, and then we had some recruits in. So my little ones, they let me know about it when we miss, and my wife rubs it in because she's amazing and she got to be the one to take them. But Frost on Skyline and Campbell, 4:30 on a Friday, right after school's out. Let's do this.
Yeah, Frost is absolutely elite of the elite stuff. They do have one up here in Phoenix, so we do have our we can get our fix in at the Biltmore area. But yeah, Ice Cream Friday sounds like an absolutely electric time. Me and Kevin might piggyback off that idea.
We might just have to indulge. And Coach, if you don't want to invite us to Ice Cream Fridays, I understand it's a family thing. I get it, but will your daughter be running a big D&D game for the entire defense throughout the season? Will that be happening? Will she be Dungeon Master? Is Genesis Smith getting in on this? Like, who are the D&D heads in the locker room?
So it's so funny because D&D is such an old game. And my second son, Jake, that's where this thing originated from. And then my daughter, who's been in a D&D for the last 4 years now, I think it is. So Fridays, the D&D is kind of screwing up our Ice Cream Friday too, by the way, because she has D&D till 5:45 on Friday. So we either have to go earlier or we've adjusted it to Thursday. She has right now. They're in different campaigns and doing their thing. I ask her every Friday, like, did we battle? Because last year she was in a dungeon D&D where they battled every week, and they had this dominant team and our dungeon master, whatever it was. So they haven't battled yet. So I'm getting a little bit antsy. Like, come on now, step up your game, get these campaigns ready to go, and let's go do something.
It seems like you're antsy to compete in general,
Uh-huh,
coach, and
coach at
I
heart.
love that.
Yep.
Just a coach at heart, a coach's coach. It seems like a coach's family as well.
We've got a ping pong table at the house. We've got a pool table that's ping pong table that you slap on top of it. My wife was really good at ping pong growing up, so it took me a while. Now I can run the house. My sons are pretty good. My oldest son's really good at pool. Second son's really good at ping pong. So there's always a competition. You know, we were at Culinary Dropout the other day for a recruiting event, and they have that little ring where you snatch it on the hook. So my daughter, she's getting really good at it. So she took some pictures of it because she wants to build that at the house now, so she can try and whoop Pop's tail at that. So everything is about winning and losing and competing, and that's that's who we are.
That fires us up, Coach. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. It means the world to us, and good luck on the recruiting trails out there in San Bernardino. We hope to talk to you again sometime soon.
Hey, whatever you guys need, and you said you may want to invite the family. Wildcat football is all about family, and you guys, alumni, you guys being a part of our thing, you're a part of our family. I mean, doesn't matter, talk good or bad. I mean, families fight all the time, but when you have ultimate success, everybody in the family talks about it, and then they're the first ones to stand up. So that's what we're thriving for. So whether it's Thursday or Friday at Frost on Campbell Skyline at 3:30, sorry, not 4:30, 3:30. Or we have to wait till 6 o'clock on Fridays after the D&D, and hopefully she's battling and winning. But just keep it coming. And thank you for all you guys do for Wildcat Sports, because up in that area, in the Phoenix area, we need to continue to make our footprint up there. It's an easy drive back and forth. There's a ton of Wildcats up in the Phoenix area, which makes it even more fun against the other schools. So thank you. Thank you guys for what you do. Thank you for broadcasting. I think President Trump wanted an election because of social media and all those things. So you guys do a phenomenal thing for us. Okay. I appreciate it. We're very thankful. Bear down.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank
we
you,
appreciate
Coach.
you.
It's a dream come true for us. And you have a good one. We'll catch you next time.